on my main topic, I would like to inform you that today the world is celebrating International Day of Consciousness. The International Day of Consciousness is a global day of awareness celebrated on April 5th, commemorating the importance of the human consciousness. Consciousness, it was established by the United Nations General Assembly on July 25th, 2019 with the adoption of UN Resolution 73 by 329. The first International Day of Consciousness was celebrated on April 5th, 2020. The designation of April 5th as the International Day of Consciousness serves to remind people to engage in self-reflection to improve themselves and their communities, stimulating a crucial turning point for transforming our world. Consciousness empowers people to tolerate, forgive, and love one another, and thus it shortens the distance between people and between nations. Media conference with Lal Goel. Wish you all on this day. Today, India is celebrating National Maritime Day. On 5th April every year in India, National Maritime Day is observed because on this date in 1919, navigation history was created. SS Loyalty, the first ship of the Scindia Steam Navigation Company Limited, journeyed to the United Kingdom. It was a red letter day in the account of Indian navigation. This was a crucial step in India's shipping history when sea routes were controlled by the British. For the first time, this day was celebrated on 5th April 1964 to inform people and spread awareness about intercontinental commerce and the economy worldwide. In India, more than 90% of the goods of the country's trade are moved through maritime transport. The percentage itself is enough to make an individual aware of the importance of ports and most importantly, their contribution in sustaining the growth and development of the economy on a national basis. India, with its vast peninsula, jetting 1,000 kilometers in the heart of the Indian Ocean, needs to leverage its viable maritime geography to ensure and assure the economic, material, and societal well-being of its people. In this endeavor, the role being played by Indian merchant mariners the world over is a heroic, central, and stellar one. The number of vessels in Indian shipping register has increased from a paltry 59 in the year 1947 to an impressive 1392 ships in 2019, with the gross tonnage rising cumulatively to over 12 million GRT. Media conference with Lal Goel wishes you all on the Indian National Maritime Day. Now coming to our main topic, that is COVID returns impact on education. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected educational system worldwide, leading to the near total closures of schools, universities, and colleges. Most governments decided to temporarily close educational institutions in an attempt to reduce the spread of COVID-19. As of 12th January 2021, approximately 825 million learners are currently affected due to school closures in response to the pandemic. According to UNICEF monitoring, 23 countries are currently implementing nationwide closures and 40 are implementing local closures, impacting about 47% of the world's student population. 112 countries' schools are currently open. In response to school closures, UNESCO recommended the use of distance learning programs and open educational applications and platforms that schools and teachers can use to reach learners remotely and limit the disruption of education. In India, total number of universities are 993, total higher educational institutions are 51,649, total number of teachers in higher education are 14.16 lakhs and students are 3.74 crores. The education sectors of India as well as world are badly affected by this, keeping in view a fresh surge in COVID-19 cases which is being witnessed in some parts of the country. The Ministry of Home Affairs, MHA, extended the guidelines pertaining to coronavirus in the country till 30th April 2021, as well as maintained strict surveillance and caution during this period. Previous outbreak of infectious diseases have prompted widespread school closing around the world with varying level of effectiveness. Mathematical modeling has shown that transmission of an outbreak may be delayed by closing schools. However, effectiveness depends on the context children maintain outside of a school. School closure appear effective in decreasing cases and deaths, particularly when enacted promptly. In school closure occurs, if a school closure occurs late relative to an outbreak, they are less effective and may not have any impact at all. Additionally, in some cases, the reopening of schools after a period of closure has resulted in increased infection rates. And as closure tend to occur concurrently with other interventions such as public gathering bans, it can be difficult to measure the specific impact of school closure. During the 1918-1919 influenza pandemic in the United States, school closure and public gathering bans were associated with lower total mortality rate. Cities that implemented such interventions earlier had greater delays in reaching peak mortality rates. Schools closed for a median duration of 4 weeks, according to a study of 43 US cities' response to the Spanish flu. School closures were shown to reduce morbidity from Asian flu by 90% during the 1956-758 outbreak and up to 50% in controlling influenza in US in 2004 to 2008. During the swine flu outbreak in 2009 in the UK, in an article titled Closure of Schools During an Influenza Pandemic, published in the Lancet Infectious Disease, a group of epidemiologists endorsed the closure of schools in order to interrupt the course of the infection, slow further spread, and buy time to research and produce a vaccine. Having studied previous influenza pandemics, including the 1918 flu pandemic, the influenza pandemic of 1957, and the 1968 flu pandemic, they reported on the economic and workforce effect school closures would have, particularly with a large percentage of doctors and nurses being women, of whom half had children under the age of 16. They also looked at the dynamics of the spread of influenza in France during French school holidays and noted that the cases of flu dropped when schools closed and re-emerged when they reopened. They noted that when teachers in Israel went on strike during the flu season of 1999-2000, visits to doctors and the numbers of respiratory infections dropped by more than a fifth and more than two-fifths respectively. Over 1.5 million schools across India closed down due to the pandemic. A switch to large-scale digital education is not possible now. Only 24% households have access to the internet, according to a 2019 government survey. In rural India, the numbers are far lower, with only 4% households having accesses. The Education Ministry's budget for digital e-learning was slashed to rupees 469 crores in 2021, 2020-2021, the year COVID struck, from rupees 604 crore the previous year. A KPMG and Google study done before the COVID-19 outbreak estimated that the online education market in India was set to grow to $1.96 billion or rupees 14,836 crore with 9.6 million users by 2021, up from $247 million, that is rupees 1870 crore, and 1.6 million users in 2016. The coronavirus induced lockdown further propelled the market demand for edutech players. India has now emerged as the second biggest market for massive open online course in the world after the US. But how we are calling this as a COVID returns? Because on 4th April, that is till yesterday, on 4th April 2021, after India registered 1,03,793 new cases of coronavirus and 477 deaths, which has taken the country's cumulative tally past 12.59 million and the death toll to 1,65,132. And our purpose is not to create fear, but to create awareness that Corona is coming back and Corona has already returned, because the last time the peak we have seen, it was approximately 96,000. But this time, till yesterday, the cases already, new cases are 1,03,793. To discuss the COVID returns impact on education, we have a very elite, educated, experienced, trained educationist with us. And I would like to invite my first guest. She is Dr. Catherine Nirmala. Dr. Catherine is the Associate Professor and recognized research guide at Postgraduate Department of Commerce, St. Agnes Center for Postgraduate Studies and Research, Mangalore. Welcome, Dr. Catherine Nirmala. Dr. Catherine Nirmala, you have seen the scenario before pre-COVID, during the COVID, then afterwards, when the unlocked started, when the again the colleges started with the studies in person, again now COVID is returning back in many of the states. Many of the schools and colleges and universities have been closed. Few have not yet closed fully. Partially they are closing. But we would like to know what effect of this COVID returns on education. COVID returns impact on education. Dr. Catherine Nirmala, please.
Good morning, Mr. Lal Goel, and all the esteemed members on the panel. It gives me great pleasure to be with all of you esteemed members and share my views on the impact of COVID-19 returns, the second spell, on higher education. In my perspective, with 30 years of teaching, I sense that the online classes, the platform has been taken fully on with the onslaught of the pandemic. The major issue to be discussed is a total sense of disconnect that the students are going through. The students are now faced with a peculiar situation, and this situation, if I must say, the the radical challenge that the students face is the sense of disconnect with studies and with students and with the return of education. My apprehension and fear the college and the country goes in for another lockdown is that students would totally lose interest in their studies. Now, as a teacher, I have seen that in the past year, our students have faced different challenges due to the online classes. Simply a total lack of interest is one of them. Technology simply fails, and due to non-availability of internet facilities and electricity across all the places, attendance has come to an all-time low. Running videos, audios, and programs on the online mode and integration with the learning management system of the college results in major problems on the virtual platform. What's more, integrity has become a challenge as we have seen our students playing a multitasking role where they seem to be attending the classes online, but in reality, they are not present physically. So this can be prevented, however, if the students are brought to an understanding that learning is basically in their hands. So maturity is required, creating opportunities so as to engage students meaningfully with the content and holding them responsible for generating evidence that they have mastered what has been done is the need of the hour. Looking at the positives, a few of them, data and new skills have become very, very important in the online mode. Now we are talking about a shift, a total shift, a blended learning. Now those have become the key words of the era today, where the learners will have to invest individually in their own learning. So the onus is on the students. Now, we as teachers, we have seen that those students opt for higher education and learning, the kind of maturity that they have shown is not much. And therefore, we are asked to,
One
we
moment,
are
please.
asked to,
One moment, please. Mr. Jha, please keep yourself on mute. Sorry, I have put it on mute. Thank you. Yes, please go ahead. Sorry. Sorry.
yeah.
Dr. Catherine.
Thank you. So we see on one side that certain skills have become a permanent currency, and collaborative tools have arisen overnight. Microsoft Teams and Trello and Miro and Asana, Figma, all these students are exposed to all these things, which will help them when they get into the corporate world. Expanded borders and are able to work on internships offline, online, on projects, increasing their problem solving, and a lot of data driven decision making and digitization has taken place. Still, I on you may call me little traditional, but this system of online platform of teaching has denied the students the physical experience of teaching. So taking our courses entirely online would put the students in a very, very challenging situation. And this would bypass the very purpose of higher education. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Catherine David. And Dr. Catherine has mentioned that how this online education's drawbacks of online education. We can also see even your net is so weak that how the students, if you are teaching and online, how the students can learn because your voice is breaking, how the students will get the real meaning of the education if this is the condition of the infrastructure in India. And what Dr. Catherine has mentioned, that the lack of interest in the students because they are not taking that much interest and they are doing multitasking even when they are studying, and because there is no proper interest in the education, the standard of education and the attendance is going down day by day. And until unless it will not be a physical education, the meaning of education will not be there. So she is very much disappointed, and she says now because COVID is coming back again, it is going to be a disaster as far as the education is concerned. Thank you very much, Dr. Catherine David. Again, I will request you if you can find some good place where your net is working properly. I would like to hear from you in the next round positively. Thank you, Dr. David. Now, I would like to move to my next guest, and he is Dr. Janeshwar Pai Marur. He's Dr. Pai is MBA, MPhil, PhD. He is a professor at Justice K.S. Hegde Institute of Management, NITTE. He has qualified KSAT management examinations conducted by University of Mysore in 2013. He has over 18 years of industry teaching and research experience. He has worked as lecturer at SDM College of Business Management and Postgraduate Centers for Management Studies and Research, Mangalore, from 2003 to 2006. He has worked with JP Morgan Chase Bank in India and Newark, Delaware, USA corporate office from 2006 to 2012. His teaching and research areas including behavioral and corporate finance, enterprise risk management, and corporate taxation, and has a strong exposure in practical knowledge of various statistical packages such as SPSS, MAT Lab, etc. He has published research papers in national and international journals and also presented research papers in various national and international conferences, seminars, and workshops. He is a life member of Indian Institute of Banking and Finance, IIBF, Mumbai, Management Teachers Consortium Global, MTC Global, Bangalore, International Association of Academicians and Researchers, INAAR, Pune, Indian Academicians and Researchers Association, IARA, Assam, and Federation of Indian Professional Trainers, FIPT, New Delhi. Welcome, Dr. Janeshwar Pai Marur on our show.
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Pai, you have heard what Dr. Catherine has spoken, and she clearly mentioned that the online education is ruining the education standard in India because of the lack of infrastructure, lack of which includes the broadband, electricity, and even the software and the hardware. Now, we would like to know from you, Dr. Janeshwar Mipai Marur, the COVID returns impact on education. Dr. Janeshwar Pai Marur, please.
Let me unmute myself, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning. Thank you, Lal Goel, sir, for giving such a wonderful framework for taking off this particular topic for discussion. Respected Lal Goel sir, Chairman Organ Donation India Foundation, Gyan and Gyan, senior academicians. We have Dr. Catherine, my good friend, and my dear participants. At the outset, I would like to thank Lal Goel sir for inviting me as a as a guest panelist for this wonderful media conference on a relevant and vital topic: COVID returns impact on education. But my focus throughout my session would be on COVID returns and its impact on fragile higher education per se. I would talk about the higher education. I would like to share, with the permission of Goel sir, I would like to share a small story. Goel sir, is that okay before I could talk about the
Yeah,
impact?
please go
Yes,
ahead.
I would like to share a small story of Mata Kali. So, eighth chapter of Devi Mahatme, Indian mythology, deals with the Rakta Bij. This is something we could replicate for to deal with Corona Sur, which is called as coronavirus. So I'm sure everybody knows about this Rakta Beach. Who's Rakta Beach? Rakta Beach was an Asur, meaning demon or an evil. So if we look deep enough in the history or mythology, we realize demon is not an evil, as the post-Renaissance shallow reinterpretation of many such ancient ideas has turned it into. Now, Rakta Bij Asur was bestowed upon with a superpower via a boon. That is, the boon said that wherever any drop of his blood, that is Rakta, dropped on the ground, it turned it into a seed, which is called as Bija, from which new Rakta Bija would form. Right? We can relate this particular incident with the new age Asura that we are fighting today in the form of Coronasura or coronavirus. That means we can very well say that history repeats or history has repeated, as it is showing exactly the same ability that is preventing us from annihilating it, even with the best of modern technologies. We are in the 21st century and we are not able to deal with a simple virus, that is coronavirus. Now, in those days, in the phase one, goddess Ambika and Matrika fought with Raktabija, but they realized that it is impossible to defeat in fact, impossible to defeat Raktabija. That is like a phase one. And what we had Band, we had a lockdown announced by our Honorable Prime Minister. Now, later what happened? There was a point when Mata Kali, right? So Ambika and Matrika's influence didn't work. So then came Mata Kali, she intervened, and what she did those days was she used her tongue to lick every drop of blood before it could beget another Rakta Beach. Now, this led Mahakali to get into rampage, and she started killing each and every being in the site. She got so aggressive that she started killing each and every being in the site. Ultimately, Shiva had to step into a form of a deadlock and lay in the way of Mata Kali. When Kali stepped on this particular deadlock, she realized it is not a log, it is Shiva, and she stopped in embarrassment with her tongue hanging out. Now, in the story of coronavirus, I sense Mata Kali is our economy, which is housing, manufacturing, and higher education institutions. We are deploying it. We are deploying our economy to lick this particular coronavirus, and we may defeat the virus using it too. But she's likely to go into rampage that will need to be stopped as soon as possible. So in this particular second wave, which Lal Goel rightly said as COVID returns, we need this new age Shiva who can stop this particular, who can stop the way how Shiva did in the olden days. Now, based on the trends seen during the first wave, the State Bank of India research reports predicts that these in the during the second wave that could last up to end of May 2021, that is start counting 100 days from Feb 15 2021, new cases could peak in mid-April. We are right today on 5th April, and by mid-April, there is going to be a steep peak happening in the cases before again starting it to fall. Right, so that means we are in the peak days right now. We are almost heading towards the peak stage. Now, predictions are also that we might see another 25 lakh plus new cases coming. Now, let us see how is the position of higher education institutions in Karnataka, because Goel sir already spoke about India's situation. Now, Karnataka has got 25 state universities, 15 deemed universities, 10 private universities, 192 engineering institutions, 42 medical colleges, 38 dental colleges, 248 polytechnics, 103 R&D centers, and 481 degree colleges. Now, these higher education institutions have been one of the most vulnerable sections, with several institutions across Karnataka reporting COVID-19 clusters in the last 2 months, right? That is during the second wave. Now, the general tendency amongst the youth or the students, which applies to my students here as well, not to observe COVID-19 appropriate behavior is the chief reason, amongst the chief reason. There are multiple reasons for the surge in COVID-19 cases, rightly called as COVID returns. I'm sure, let me know to name Manipal Institute of Technology, MIT, is the latest in the list of colleges hit by the pandemic in the state, right? So if you go back to Bengaluru, we have Sambram Institute of College of Management Studies, Agragami College, Manjushri Nursing College. All these institutions are recognized as clusters, and they have been reported as containment zones as well. Now, as many as 8,000 students and nearly 3,000 teaching and non-teaching staffs were in campus in Manipal. Such a large number was also could also be one of the cause for surge in the positive cases in Udupi district since March 15. We are almost completing a month in this particular month. Now, the rate at which coronavirus has spread to different regions has forced state government to close down physical classes in education institutions and schools as a precautionary measure, resulting in disruption in academic activities. While closing down campuses or moving entirely to remote instructions have been necessary steps in slowing down spread of virus among staffs and students, these shifts have caused massive disruption to students, higher education institutions, operations, and institutional finances. So coming to the point and crux of the argument, the most important impact or immediate challenge during this wave 2 or COVID returns for the higher education institutions involves cash flow crunch. I'm talking from the viewpoint of higher education institutions, that is the cash flow crunch. To ensure continuity in short term, some institutions will likely need to rapidly restructure their operations. This is point number one. The point number two is the uncertainty surrounding 2021 enrollments. It was during this time where our enrollments would start for the next batch. So if students are unable to return to campus by mid 2021, universities and higher education institutions could face unanticipated and historic attrition from students who are either unsatisfied with their distant learning experience or whose ability to afford tuition in the current economic climate will be inhibited. Others may simply decide to stay closer to their homes in uncertain times. Even well-resourced institutions without proper backup from the government, which I call as unaided institution, will find it hard to forecast enrollments for 21-22 academic year for sure. For education institutions that were already financially distressed or stressed, or operations from operating from a deficit position prior to pandemic in 2020, short-term unanticipated expenses and long-term enrollment declines will likely to threaten their solvency, potentially forcing numerous universities and higher education institutions getting into closures and mergers. This is what I had to say, Shri Guru sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pai. And Dr. Pai started with a story about the historical of facts or religious story, rather, I will say, where he has mentioned that how one devil who was supposed to give the with the one drop of his blood can create another devil, and that's why to stop that devil, the Mata has taken Mata. Durga Mata has taken the Kali Mata, rather taken the blood, sucked the blood, every drop of blood, so that no new devils can come. but that was affected very badly to her, and she became very aggressive. And there was a log in the form of God Shiva became a
Shiva.
log, and he lied down on the earth where she stepped on his chest, and then she realized that is not a log, is Lord uh, Shiv. And at that time, she calmed down. But Dr. Marur, sorry to inform you, there is no Lord Shiva in India today. Rather, we are encouraging to increase the corona by organizing Kumbh Mela, by organizing holies, by organizing all religious as well as political rallies, election rallies, where lakhs and lakhs people are participating. So we are doing what the according to the corona devil, we are giving more and more feeder to corona devil to eat more and more human lives in India. So what story you have narrated, it was nice at that time when there was some sensible people were there. But nowadays, with the elections, with the Kumbh Mela, with the holy celebrations, with all the religious celebrations which are now coming, we are encouraging them. So, and we are not bothered about education. As rightly Dr. Maru said, that the condition in Karnataka, especially in higher education, is very badly affected. He mentioned about the Manipal Institute. Yes, there was a media report that 700 students of the campus were affected, students and others, including teachers and whatnot, were affected by COVID. But was it highlighted? No, no national media is highlighted it properly. They are busy to show how our honorable Prime Minister or Mamta Banerjee or Rahul Gandhi and others are busy in putting allegations on each others. They are not bothered to show that, see, these types of incident can happen anywhere in any of the educational institutions in the India. So when we are not bothered for our children, we are not bothered for the education and education. How we expect, one moment, please. How we expect that this COVID-19, which has now come back as COVID returns, will not come back again and again every year and destroy ourselves. So this is a point which is a very, very burning point today, and it's impacting education. We are not bothered for our education because education has nothing to do with the votes. We are in vote politics. We are only interested where the votes can be taken and come back. So according to Dr. Pai, conditions is bad. Educational institutions are in a very bad shape. If they will not, if strict actions will not be taken or strong measures will not be taken, then it will be a disaster for the education system in India. Thank you very much, Dr. Pai. Definitely in the next round, I am going to ask some tough questions to you.
Definitely.
Although you being the from the teaching fraternity, you used to ask the students tough questions, but I'm sure I'm
Yes,
going to ask from the student side to you this time. And I want
100%.
that answers will definitely give a clear picture to our viewers. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you.
Pai, for giving views. Now I would like to move to my next panelist, and she is Miss Priyanka Sharma. Miss Priyanka Sharma uh, is the PGT and CCA coordinator of Delhi Public School, Chhindwara. She is an education professional with a proven track record in training, focuses on all levels in the organization across education and IT sector. She is a versatile multitasker that consistently exceeds expectations. She is having a strong analytical problem solving and organizational abilities, comfortable dealing with all levels of the hierarchy with multi-locational background. She received Outstanding Teachers Award in 2019. After completing her BSc, B.Ed, Masters in Economics and Masters in Computer Application, she is currently pursuing Masters in History. She completed CBSE Competency-Based Education Module, completed CBSE Experiential Learning Module, completed CBSE's GA6 Art Integrated Learning. She is also qualified CTET. Welcome, Ms. Priyanka Sharma on our show. Ms. Priyanka Sharma you have heard what our earlier panelist, Dr. Catherine, as well as Dr. Pai has spoken. You are basically, you have taken so many degrees and you are still pursuing for further degrees. And with today's condition, when the COVID is there everywhere, no, except those four states and one union territory where the elections are on, or where the Kumbh Mela is on, and where was the Holi was on, everywhere the COVID is there now. In this scenario, how you expect that the education is going to be there? So we would like to know from you the COVID-19 impact on education. Miss Priyanka Sharma, please.
A very good morning to Mr. Lal Goel, and thank you so much for inviting me as a panelist here. And a good morning to panel members here. I'm really very honored to be here to listen to Dr. Catherine and Dr. Marur. I really agree with things that are still going on with what is happening in the education sector, and I will be emphasizing on the corona's impact on the school education because I'm in DPS Chinwara school right now. And it has an unprecedented impact on school education. It has affected a large number of children across states. It has impacted class, caste, gender, and the regions as a whole. If we talk about it has led to total closure of schools some places. Pandemic has exacerbated the learning crisis. When we talk about its impact on the human capital, it's really great, generation of learners, and it has likely that it has been long lasting. It is not going to end so soon, as we are seeing the impact right now, as we have already heard by Mr. Lal, that the things are going still on, and the peak, there is a peak in the rise of cases and deaths. So to put it, how it has impacted education in the school level. Firstly, wide range of distance learning tool has been flooded with. On internet, if you see, we have so many apps coming up supporting the classes and all. We really miss the face-to-face contact with the students. There is a lot of difference when we teach online and when we teach face-to-face. We can actually see the student and feel. If I talk example, of nursery class kid or class LKG or UKG class 1 and 2, the primary sections and the pre-primary sections, it is so difficult to make, child sit in a class in the first 15 days. What happens when they are online? It is very difficult. The parent has to involve, in the teaching when it is online teaching. There is a drastic change of the role of parents here in education. For decades, the parents have been in the role of mere spectators. I'm sorry to use the word, but most of the cases where the parents are, both of them are earning, and going for the offices and all, they were the mere spectators when the education was concerned of the child. But now the pandemic has forced many parents to take a more active role in the education of their child, whether it is supervising the student when they are online classes, whether or simply, homeschooling because they cannot afford the online classes. So if I come to the impacts on the education, what I see here is that educational activity is really hampered. Loss of nearly 3 months of full academic year happened last year. Now you can imagine 3 months is a real big time. We cannot recover that in a go. And again, it is continuing. Here in Chinwara, we had a lockdown of 88 hours, and today itself the lockdown has been uplifted, and we are the class are all empty. I'm sitting in a class right now and I'm missing my kid because they are the soul of the organization here, our school. Now, impact is one more, point I would like to tell. This is very important, that there's a loss of nutrition here. If we talk about the midday meals being provided by the government, and when the lockdown happens in any of the states, in any part of the country, then what about the nutrition value of those kids, those who are missing the school? So, that it's physical, mental, emotional. It's impacting our lives totally. So when I talk about other aspects of the impact, most of the teachers, they were when they started with the online education, they were not tech savvy. They were not knowing how to do it. However, with the course of time and with the dealings with the, the apps and new apps coming in a month or so, and learning how to take online classes, though it improved, but then, the burden of learning new apps, and that too in a given span of time, you cannot delay that teaching. So this is really impacting teachers, and though they have done really well, I'm really surprised how a teacher who is 50 years old learning the new apps and doing all he or she could do at that point of time really impresses me sometimes. Now, going to the next, my view on the next point is that there is a delay in the payment of fees, or the delay of admissions which are going on, which we cannot, as Mr. Marur also mentioned in one of his points, there is a delay in admission. So when there is a delay in admission, how can we recover those months or those days of studies? It's not possible to do it like with some magic wand. We cannot do it. So I'm very surprised, we are still doing it. We are still trying our level best. Mr. Lal, here I would like to say that I have already told some negative impact on education, and how it has hampered. But one thing I would like to really tell, that positive impact which has happened. Now, a positive impact, why? Because we people, if we are the survivors, we always look forward in future. And what I feel is Indian education system has really got opportunity for transformation. What was it? It was a traditional system. Now it has the blended the learning, which is like adoption of the new digital technologies. This is something we have to look forward for. There is such a big what do you call it, responsibility on our shoulders as a teacher in schools. When we see the kids, we cannot see by face whether he or she has understood the topic or not. Then we have some test, online test going on. We ask for the submission of the answer sheets and all. What we find here is that we are missing the emotional bondation with the kids. Here in the Indian education system, when we see now, at least this platform has been introduced. Now with traditional and with online system, I hope that we'll get us some better solutions in future. It has encouraged all the teachers and students to be tech savvy now. Even a kid of class 1 can switch on the class mobile, sit there, make himself or herself ready. This is amazing. A span of concentration for a student is not more than 40 minutes, it's said. But then when we talk about the small kids, it's a little lesser. So, but then they are started sitting, they have started learning. So I'm looking at the positive aspects as well, though we know what we are going through. We are going in and out every day. I will, take one point here, the emotional aspect. Few of our students lost their family members, fathers, in fact, in this COVID. It was so disheartening. We cannot tell you we cannot go and meet the child. Generally, we do that. We are not able to meet the child. It's such a terrible time. It's such a turmoil in our hearts that we should really get over with it as soon as possible. But still, I'm talking about some positive impacts, because I look forward that we teachers, we all the academicians and the educationists can give the best possible. Now, there is also, improvement in collaborative work. New opportunities are there. Teachers are joining or collaborating with faculties across the world. We are having webinars, seminars, and so many things we are attending. We are learning a lot. We are learning how to bring practical implementation into this learning, which is very new to us. There is also one thing, that enhanced use of soft copy. If the panel members also agree with me, before this corona, we know that in colleges, yes, they use the PDFs of the books, and they use the soft copy, but in school it was very rare. Yes, they did, but very, very rare. But now it has become a trend. This is something which is, I think, can be taken as positively. And there is a demand for open and distant learning. This can be taken for for the higher education also. There is an increase in ODL, which is called the open and distant learning. And students are preferring that mode. They are encouraging themselves for self-learning. Some of the students in school itself, they have joined some Vedic maths or some kind of apps or some kind of different online teachings where they can, really learn, and they can, enhance their qualities and so forth. So what I think is, now it is an exposure for both educator and learner, as they are getting opportunities to interact around the world. So that is my view for this impact of COVID on the school education, especially, Mr. Lal. And thank you for giving me so much of time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Priyanka Sharma, for giving your views on impact of COVID returns impact on school education, because she said that she is dealing in, because she's in a school, DPS Chindwara. But the point which she has made is, initially she made some negative points, and she mentioned that she is sitting in the classroom, empty classroom, because the Chindwara was for 48 hours, it was under the curfew, and now they have opened it, but today no student has come back. Now, this is, and many other negative points which she says that there is emotional bonding, and even she mentioned that a few of the students' parents, one of the parent or father has lost their life due to the COVID, and they can't even go and console the child. They can't even meet the child because of the COVID conditions. So she says these are the negative point. The positive point is that now the teachers have learned how to do the e-learning or the digital education. And she says this is a positive point, which they were not accustomed or they were not knowing before the COVID. Generally, no, the teachers were not knowing, but now they all have to learn. They are attending the webinars, seminars, etc., international webinars, seminars. So they are learning from there. That is a positive point. But still, she feels that the COVID should go as early as possible so that normal education to be retained or resumed. Thank you very much, Ms. Priyanka Sharma, for giving your views. Now, I would like to call upon my next guest, and he is Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha. Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha is the civil services coach. He is the managing director of Discourse Academy, Delhi. He motivate and give interview guidance to UPSC aspirants. He is visiting faculty of political science, general studies, and English languages at different reputed institutes. He is doing talk shows for All India Radio, Akashwani, New Delhi. He is called upon by various media organizations to participate as an expert for their live shows on various national and international issues. He conducted and moderated several seminars, including National Seminar in the World Book Fair 2016, New Delhi, by National Book Trust, Government of India. He has published several books and written articles in reputed publications. He is co-author of India-Mauritius Bilateral Relationship Recent Initiative. Welcome, Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha on our show. Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha, you have heard our two panelists, Dr. Catherine as well as Dr. Marur, who gave the idea about the impact of education on higher studies, impact on higher education. The Miss Priyanka Sharma gave the COVID returns impact on school education. Now you are running an academy. You are basically giving guidance, interview guidance to the UPSC aspirants. So you have a third sets of things. We have heard about the higher education. We have heard the school education. Now we would like to hear from you, from your point of view, from the academy side also, as well as on the education. So COVID returns impact on education. Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha, please.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Lal Goyalji and other co-panelists. I am very much privileged to speak with all time. And this time COVID returns, definitely the Delhi is badly impacted, and a lot of the students have just fled to their villages and town and downtown to the other parts of the countries. Because I can assure you that a lot of the students who had migrated from different parts of the country, particularly the North India, I can say that they had come and they studied. A lot of things had happened over a period. But this COVID has really gives very bad impacts for the alternative learning. What we call that the private institutions are the backbone of the learning system, because when they pass out from the school, college, and universities, they come to our institutions for their own careers, for their own kinds of things, and especially as I can just assure you that most of the students who are the very talented person, as it is said, the UPSC students are the very hardworking persons, talented persons, the students, youth. So they are coming from different parts of the country. I really see that a lot of negative things are happening. The students are totally frustrated with their all kinds of things. They cannot stay in Delhi. They have gone back to their hometowns. And not only this, technology is not also that kind of supportive in a sense, because once I am interacting with you, okay, it is okay. But when it comes for the transformation of knowledge, sharing the things on the blackboard, now it is whiteboard, definitely the digital board has come out. But that really what I want to share with a lot of examples. Suppose I want to elaborate the Panchayati Raj in India. How can I elaborate to these students, or I want to elaborate the environmental challenges? I mean to say, most of the teachers who are the old age people, and they are really facing a lot of problems, because they have to like a mechanical kinds of thing. They are not equipped with the camera facing kinds of thing. And I am sure that a time will come when all these things will come out. But definitely this 1 2 3 years, maybe 4 years, it will have a great impact. As far as online this teaching is concerned, it is okay that online teaching we can do a lot of things. Now UPSC has given the result of mains examination after 5th April. We are going to conduct a mock interview test, but it is not going to that much of intensity or a kinds of the forceful kinds of things with the students and the candidates. Previously, we had a lot of panelists along with us, like 4 5, and we had provided the mock interview kinds of thing, and then we had to know that what exactly lacking behind. Right now, just we are interacting individuals, the students, giving guidance, but it is not up to the mark. So that is a really challenge for all the academicians, and particularly the private institution. The one sad part is also there at the participants have already said that the most of the institutions which are not up to the mark in the economic sense, they are really facing a lot of problems, financial problems. They have shut down their institutions because of the rent accommodation. Some branded institutions are there, they have millions rupees in their account they can spend, or they have their own rented house, or they have on their buildings. But what else I can give Mr. Lal a lot of data from school or college or even private institutions, the coaching institutions, which can share with you that the most of the teachers, even the faculties, have been gone to their native places just to survive. Not only the teachers, even the journalists of the leading media houses, when they lost their jobs, they just left the Delhi. So this is the real picture of Delhi. And most of the intellectuals people are really facing a lot of problems, because they cannot go for alternative kinds of things like the daily wage people and daily workers. So this is the real challenge before the society and the government. The third thing that I want to mention, that the government should take the proactive initiative rather taking this all kinds of other parts of the things, that at least the government should give, like at Panchayati Raj system, or even at the institutions or the school or colleges, any premises you can take, and you can give the alternative learning system, because ultimately they have to acquaint with, they have to go with the syllabus parts of the different curriculum of the examination, so they can go for online examination. On offline examination, they have to maintain the protocol, but government is not listening on that time because of the different regions. But I can say you that if any organization, even the NGOs or any uh, kinds of things we will be doing, that will be great for the society. And fourth point that I want to make, that all the teachers also can do some better kinds of things in the neighboring areas and all. So these are the few things that if the collectively or simultaneously we are doing, then definitely the situation will be changed. As far as the challenges are concerned, I am not going to discuss the challenges, because lots of challenges, the health issues, medical issues, COVID returns, and the historical things are there. A lot of things are there, but I always focus on what the solution. The solution is three solutions. First of all, as we all of us know that this is the great challenge before the humanity, so we have to maintain all kinds of protocol of the protocol, this coronavirus. Second thing, as much as we can do as an individual or and organization, we can do our best as all of the participants have suggested us. The third thing, the government should also do at the very best level at different strata of the society. As you have already mentioned that the rural area is having less than 24% or 4% net, I mean to say. So these all things should taken care of these things, and definitely this crisis will be lessened, and definitely some sort of solution will be coming up. So these are my suggestions and all kinds of the solutions before us. And not only this, the students are really fed up with the online kinds of, because of most of the time they have net problems, most of them they have lot of kinds of things. So definitely these are the things the government should have. I am having one example, that like cinema halls, because cinema halls in Mukherjee Nagar in Delhi, what is the impact of education? The cinema, Batra Cinema Hall had become, the center of education. The same thing I mean to say, that there are a lot of places where government can put a lot of, TV screens where the students, particularly in the rural areas, they can enjoy the study with the different kinds of experts. So this is the things. And besides, definitely this is the challenge before all of us, as you have mentioned everything in the introduction. So I can assure you that sooner or later everything will be all right, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha, for giving your views. And he also said the picture is very gloomy. Many of the teachers have already left because he is from Delhi right now. He's based in Delhi, although he's originally from Bihar. And he says that the many teachers have left for the native place to survive, because the colleges are academies, colleges and universities are closed, so they have to get the salary. They are not getting the full salary, or even not getting any salary, so they have left for the native places, and condition is deteriorating every day. But he says the positive aspect can be that challenges are there, but we have to face. And he has given an example that if the picture halls can be converted in an education hub where the big screens can be used for teaching those students who cannot afford their this type of internet or devices. But again, the same question will come about the social distancing, which we will be definitely taking in our next round. Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha, for giving your views. Now, I would like
Thank you.
to ask the question first to, I will go to Dr. Catherine. Dr. Catherine, yes. Dr. Catherine, why no initiative to education? Hello, hello.
Sorry, sir. Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes,
Can you
Dr.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Dr.
Yes,
Catherine,
one. Yes.
can you
Yes.
hear me, Dr.
What?
Catherine?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My
New
question
initiatives, you said,
my
right?
question is, why there is no initiative for the education? Why there is no incentive for education? Why no free internet and subsidy to education? Do you think education is not important in India? These doctors, uh, lots of disturbance is coming from your side, Miss Dr. Catherine. Please see to it. No,
I'm sorry, sir.
see, Dr.
Yes.
Catherine, there is
Yes.
no incentive for the education. One should understand today.
Yes.
Please stabilize yourself,
Yes.
Dr. Catherine.
I'm again changing my position. Yes, sir.
Say, Dr. Catherine,
Yes. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can very
Can you
well.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please.
Yes.
When
Yes.
the doc
This is yes.
one moment, Dr. Catherine. My question I have to complete. These doctors and the scientists who are doing work for coming out for vaccine, and the doctors who are treating us, the nurses who are treating us, they all are
Yes.
educated. And education was given by you people only, the teachers, the professors. And we have no priority for the education in India. Why it is so? Why the educationists, why the institutions are not coming forward? MSME getting from advantages, migrants are getting, everyone is getting their pounds of flesh. But what about education? You are the first to be closed. No subsidy, no salaries. I'm not talking of the government colleges. I'm calling of those, talking about those institutions which are private, unaided institutions. How the education will come up if the students are frustrated now? How they will become doctors? They will become scientists. We are ruining the future of the country. by not giving any incentive to the education. We are treating the education as the least priority sector. What you say about this, Dr. Catherine?
Sir, I agree with you 100%, sir. I think the government has totally neglected us. And speaking on behalf of the teaching fraternity, I think, the blame has been put on the teachers instead of considering them and considering the condition and taking support. The management also has not done anything much, and the government has provided no impetus, no initiatives. And I have seen teachers losing their jobs. I've seen teachers getting the 25%, 50% of their salary only, and teachers who have been removed from their jobs, going around searching for jobs. I would say that it is a very pathetic situation, and it is, of course, what you say is true. There has been nothing done in terms of providing even internet facilities to the students, some kind of initiative to get the students to come to college. In fact, the student community also has gone against the institutions in the terms of why should they pay the fees. They want the degree, they want the institution to give them that 1 year time, and they don't want their year to go a waste. However, they are questioning the institutions as to the rationale of charging the fees. So this is a serious issue, and I should say that the government is more interested in politicizing the whole issue of coronavirus, and instead of finding a solution to the problem, they are only making the problem more and more difficult.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Catherine. Now my question goes to Dr. Marur. Dr. Marur, if the standard of our education is deteriorating, as you all have mentioned, why not declare it's a 0 year? Say no education for a year or two for any students till this COVID will be totally finished. The reason is, after, just imagine after 10 years, when this student of 2021, 2021, 22 batch, God forbids 22, 23, but this batch will go for any interview in anywhere in the world. They will say, oh, you are a COVID student, that COVID period student. Why should we take you? You are not educated properly, and you are in India where there is no infrastructure. So why not declare a 0 year? Let's face the fact. And to be very frank, we are putting blames to each other. We are not knowing that if the leaders are weak, if they are not interested. You mentioned about that religious story. Why? Why you are organizing the functions? Why you are doing these elections? Can't this election be postponed for 1 year? Can't all these government can extend be time be extended for 1 year so that no surge would have come? But no, we are more interested in political gains. We are not at all bothered for the future of the generation, the youngsters. We are ruining their life, and we are blaming the students. They are not interested in taking education. They can't take if there is a break in the internet, if there is no electricity. Now, do you expect that every student should have a generator at his home? Do you expect that they should have they have the broadbands with a higher speed? It's not possible. So why not you people, educators, why not you present a memorandum to the government, each of you, and say this is going to be future of the country? Because after all, uneducated lot is going to be a disaster for any country. What do you say about this, Dr. Maru?
Yes, sir. Regarding your query on declaring an year as a zero academic year, so I feel that it makes no sense because particularly we don't know when exactly it is going to end. So when we don't know the next level, it is very difficult to take such a decision as saying as a zero academic year. And if academic year, if there is no academic activities going on, it would be like an iron with no, you don't give enough work, it will get rust and it will die. So what makes iron die is its own rust. So if there is no vibrancy in academic activities, I think it will lead a natural death. This is what I say. Now, what we could do is rather than declaring zero academic year, I feel that some things could be done. the most important and basic requirement. See, you are talking about organizing functions, election rallies. We are comparing that with the education system. Lal Goyal sir, let me make it clear that education is a basic requirement, but elections and religious functions are not basic requirements that can postpone. So this is very important. We cannot, if we compare this with the need hierarchy, education comes as the basic requirement for any child. So, and a country's activities depends on how good the youth is educated. So we can't afford to declare a 0 year considering the future situation. Also, now if I were to see what this particular government could do is allocating higher amount of money for education sector. Now, if you see, though Modi government has been talking about skill development and so on and so forth, if you see last year's budget, you'll be shocked to know that only $10 billion was set aside for education. But just see the education budget for China. It is 675 billion. Where is 10, 11 billion and where is 675 billion? If money is spent on education, automatically things will fall in place. Now the biggest problem in India compared to other countries is centralized education system. In China, if you see, they practice centralized education system. So if in case they were to switch over to digital learning, it becomes very easy. But we can't do that in India right now. See, it is all about budget allocations. We have low income categories of students. They don't have laptops. They have laptops and they can't afford high speed internet, so on and so forth. So if in case requirements are done like this, I think rather than declaring a 0 academic year, academic activities can still go on. But still, we can't go for a comparison of online versus offline systems. Sir. This is what it is.
Okay, Dr. Marur, I will just add one thing. You said no, not to declare 0 year.
Yes.
For how many more years we are going to have this thing? Because see, I will tell you, 1 year back on 22nd March 2020, I started my program.
Right, sir.
And it's coming now daily, every day. And initially it was dedicated only for COVID-19.
Right,
At
sir.
that time, I had long, many programs on education, higher education, school education. And everyone says, no, no, now we have learned and this thing. What we have learned in last year? Nothing. Have we developed the infrastructure in rural area? No, nothing. We have not developed any internet facilities in those areas which require very badly. All these students, after all, 67% of the students are from the rural area. When you can, or we can do one thing, we will say 0 years for rural areas or underprivileged students, and only those who can have who have money and who have the broadband, they all or those who are staying in metros, they are only going to be educated. Rest we will not get, at least till the corona is not going to over, because our governments, any form of government, whether in any party, I'm not blaming anyone, we all are busy for elections, we are busy for religious functions, we are having other priorities, we have no priority for education. That's why I'm saying, try to visualize the condition after 5 years or 10 years. This student, which you all are teaching in last 1 year now, and going to teach in the next year, the same conditions, they cannot, you cannot compare them with a pre-COVID era of 2019 or before that. The standard of the teaching, and then these students will have a complex in the lifelong time, because the employer, their employability will go down. Once the employability will go down, already in India, the condition of the employability, in my one of the conference, somebody told that only 20% is the employability initially, and afterwards it is only 4% of them. Now, when this is the situation, what is going to happen to the future of the students? After all, their parents hard-earned money they are paying, how they are getting in this pandemic time. They are not having their money, still they are paying to the colleges and institutes. And the result is they are not getting the education which is required. That's why I'm saying, when the government doesn't want to give any money or any financial aid, the budget of education which was declared, and when you are talking about higher education, there was a National Education Policy 2020, which was released on 29th, 30th July of 2020, when the pandemic first phase was over. At that time, the allocation was supposed to be 6% of the budget, GDP. And how much you got in this budget? 2.3%. Why the
Right.
educationists are mum?
Right,
They
sir.
have either educationists have no sound, nothing to say. They are not bothered. They are only bothered for their. I'm talking of educationists, means including teachers, including
Teachers.
institutions,
True.
including institutions owners. Why they have not protested that when you have promised in 2020 national this thing, and when the pandemic was already on, when you have know the budget, why you have come out with the national education policy 2020 with a 6% of GDP? Now in the budget of 2021, you have mentioned only 2.3%. It is betrayal. But when you are not interested and then you blame the students, you blame the others, I don't think the parents, how come parent pay the money? Think of a person, a labor class, even a middle class condition is bad. Anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Marur. And now my question goes to Miss Priyanka Sharma. Miss Priyanka Sharma, what is the psychological and social impact on younger kids? As you have mentioned, bigger those students who are in higher education, they understand, they know the what is. But think of a child of 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, even 10 years. What impact? They are afraid. I know there are reports are coming. The psychiatrists are telling they are afraid even to go outside their house now. How they will come back to school, and what can school do to help them to cope up with this new reality? Miss Priyanka Sharma, please.
A very good question at this point of time where we are really trying to cope up with the physical and the mental issues which are there as an impact to the students. Now, one thing which we have come across is obesity. The students have really increased on weight because they are sitting and eating and they are not going outside the house. This is one physical aspect which we are seeing. Second thing which we saw was the rise in case of depression or rise in case of sometimes in houses child abuse is there. There are so many cases which are coming in and we are reading and we are listening now and then. What exactly we feel here is that the impact is really higher. If you as you asked in the student when coming into school how they will behave, now to tell you, just give an example from our side, we have started as DPS Chinwara, we have started with co-curricular activities, that is online activities. Now I am conducting as you know, I am a coordinator for co-curricular activities. What I do, I am trying to do is to bring interest in a child of class 1, class nursery. So we are conducting fancy dress competition, though I know it is so difficult sometimes for the parents as well. But then we are trying to bring that liveliness. We're trying to bring it, the togetherness feeling in that particular activity. Secondly, what we are trying to do is the teacher who is taking a class is always there, switched on with the video and interacting with the child and talking to the parent. In the initial classes, the parent is sitting with the child so that the child understands this is nothing, very difficult. It's very, this is your teacher. So introductory is very difficult. And I do agree the impact is so much that the child is not willing. Some of the students, those who are not, willing to study, they have given up studies. They don't want to study. They're just, feeling and wishing that they should go for some general promotion. Like, the board exam have been delayed, and this board exam delays and all that delays every process, the process of college admissions, process of going outside. The students, one of our student went to King's College last year and he was supposed to go in to 2019. He was delayed the admission by 1 year. Just imagine that brilliant student lost whole 1 year, and we do understand what is going on, but we have to console because it was no flight was there and nobody was expecting it to open sooner. Now, secondly, what we are trying to do in here as an educationist, like I told you that we 3 or 4 students lost their father during the COVID time. It's such a sad thing, but all the teachers are calling and talking to the student now and then. Not that we called once. We are trying and trying to connect to the students psychologically. This is done by the head of our team also, principal sir. So what we are doing that, no, we are not giving up on our child. We are not supposed to give up on our small kids because they are a future. Yes, it is a time when we are facing so much of psychological pressure. They are not ready to write. Dr. Lal, the biggest issue which we are going to face in the coming session when they join us is a child of class 1 and class 2 or 3 will not be ready to write in the copy. They will not be ready to give the exam because now they are habituated in 1 year to click and answer. So this is something which we are facing, such a broader aspect of dilemmas which we are going to face when it happens in the class. The teachers have to really be geared up. We have to take recessions of the topics which have been there in the previous years. Might be they'll not be able to write the simple spelling of cat or bat when they come to class 1 or 2, not because they are not willing, but because there are a possibility that a child does not want to sit at one go, like we are supposed to sit in the class and do it with a smaller child. So there are so many things. And when we talk of the middle and the higher school, yes, they are going through some psychological issues. They have been on the internet for hours. They don't want now to study. Some of them, they want to just watch YouTube videos or Netflix or some movies or some kind of things going on in the internet, but they don't want to attend the classes also. This is such a bigger challenge, Dr. Lal, that you will imagine the teacher's perspective, that for every class, 5 minutes before, we have to call those students, make a call personally to them, and then they enter. We ask the parents, request them. So our responsibility has fourfold increased. We have been trying our level best not to let any child go off. We're not letting the hand of that child go off, even if it is one student or two. So when we talk of these you were talking about a theory about how what we should do a zero year. I also agree totally with Dr. Madhu that no, we cannot have zero
ನ್ಯೂಸ್
year.
ಅಂಡ್ ವ್ಯೂಸ್ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕರು ರೋಹನ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್, ಸಹ ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕರು ಐಡಿಯಲ್ ಕೆಫೆ ಮತ್ತು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಎಜುಕೇಶನಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಚಾರಿಟೇಬಲ್ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್, ಮಾಡರ್ನ್ ಕಿಚನ್.
Done at the levels in states is that NGOs, private tutors, volunteers are coming up, distributing books and making it available at the doorstep, or some way or the other, where we can do something, provide books at the doorsteps. State government must come up with some certain ideas to provide
We will come for the suggestions in the next round. Thank you very much, Priyanka Sharma. Only I will add one thing, that education is not our fundamental right in the present scenario. The fundamental right is to organize religious uh, uh, functions, to organize elections. This is our fundamental right to vote, not to be educated. Thank you very much, Ms. Priyanka Sharma. My question goes to Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha. Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha, we have heard those who are from the other side because they are working in the organizations. You are an owner of an organization. We are blaming, we are saying teachers are like this, students are like this. What is their fault? Has, in USA, all the teachers, irrespective of age, from 18 years onwards, has been vaccinated, and the top priority. Has it been done in India? They are not been given any priority as a teacher. Teacher is working, as Ms. Priyanka Sharma has mentioned, that they have to work far more what they were working earlier. And in the response, what they are getting? Salary cut, no salary. They are getting abuses from the parents, because earlier the parents were not sitting in the online classes. They are not coming in the classes, but now they are sitting and they are watching. They are assessing the teacher. They are not knowing the teacher is teaching something for which they are trained. And what incentives the government is giving? All the owners, all the private, talking of the private institutions, are crying nowadays. And just to say that they are very rich people, this is no way to say they are. So it means all the corporate houses which are rich, they should suffer. No, it's not like that. They are not suffering. We all know that the wealth of our top corporates are increasing day by day, even during the pandemic. But what is the condition of education? What is the condition of teachers? Teachers are such They are not coming under migrants category. They cannot beg the money. They cannot ask any money from anyone to help because they have a respect in the society. The families, the parents, they have a respect. If they will say we want 1,000 rupees as a loan, what impression will go? One can understand. We have a noble profession. We have used to have two noble profession. One was teacher and one was the medical. But we have ruined these noble professions. Don't you think the government should come out in a very big way? Like in UK, it's under lockdown, 100% lockdown from December. It's already now fourth month. But they are paying 80% of the salaries. Government is paying to all the private institutions which are under lockdown, where they cannot work, to all those. Okay, teachers are working as online, they are earning so that they can be paid where they can work. But there are many teachers, where there are many administrative staff, where there are so many peons and other staff, low staff. They are not, how they are going to get the salary in? But UK is paying. When they can pay, why we cannot pay in India? My question, Mr. Rakesh Kumaja, because you are very politically activist. That's why I'm asking you this question.
Mr. Goel Sahab, you have rightly said a good question to me, and I was
ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವ್ಯೂಸ್
really
ಈ
thinking
ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ
about it.
ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕರು
Because
ರೋಹನ್ ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್,
that as India
ಸಹ
caters
ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕರು
maximum number of
ಐಡಿಯಲ್
people
ಕೆಫೆ
in
ಮತ್ತು
this world.
ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಎಜುಕೇಶನಲ್
And
ಅಂಡ್
we all are
ಚಾರಿಟೇಬಲ್ ಟ್ರಸ್ಟ್
from this
ಮಾಡರ್ನ್
school,
ಕಿಚನ್.
college, coaching, every people are educating to the budding youth of this country. That is a real good thing for all these people across the country who are doing. But what I can see, that there are two solutions. The first solution, as you have discussed all the problems with the teachers and even
ನ್ಯೂಸ್
the
ಅಂಡ್
doctors
ವ್ಯೂಸ್
or
ಈ
even the
ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ
lawyers, they are
ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕರು
facing lot of problems
ರೋಹನ್
right
ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್,
professionally.
ಸಹ
Some of them
ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಕರು
exactly,
ಐಡಿಯಲ್
some of the
ಕೆಫೆ
teachers
ಮತ್ತು
are asking
ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ
2,000 rupees, that do you have 2,000 rupees or 1,000? It is really a setback to the whole humanity across the country. I mean to say that why government? Because we all up together, we can make an organization, because the political things can go with only with the pressure groups. When you look at the political science, I am a political science student as well. Without the pressure group, nothing can happen in this country, because why government is thinking about the daily wage people or other kinds of people or the kinds of functions, the political election, because of the number game. The head counts are there. What J.S. Mill had written in his book on liberty, that the heads are matter lot than an intellectual. Because suppose if all together we can make a difference, that we have 10 people, 20 people, 50 or 60 or 100, but they have a number of games, so they are going, the subsidies are there, a lot of things are happening with the things. Because but as a student or as a teacher, I can say that we should have across the country a pan India group, so that we can put up the pressure before the government, that no, you have to this thing also, you have to think us about also, because we are also the people who are doing the service to the nation. Why to talk about, that most of the people or most of the governments are only talking about, the lower state of the people. Yes, that is okay. But what us, that how we can survive, what the teachers, how the teachers will, how they can survive on this earth because of the COVID crisis and all. So I can assure you that definitely we can make a pressure group, so that the government would come to know, and definitely, the rich people are going day by day. One more problem I am sharing with you, that even in the education industry, that a lot of people behind the curtain have invested the money, because for what? Because of easy making money and online promotions, everything. I can give you the data that a lot of people are investing the money from the back door, because education is a very novel cause, even in the coaching industries or in other industries. So the real talented teachers are really frustrated, because once they upload their videos, the people are not knowing. Once you search the name, you cannot get the name because of the promotions and all. So even in this industry on online things, the talented teachers or the people are really frustrated. Without the marketing, you cannot survive in this economy. So the marketing strategy is one of the, like the, I should not take the name, because names are in my throat.
No. I will also say not to say name. You
Yeah,
have made your
because
point.
most of the teachers or most of the branded people, are doing in school education, and now they are training with the help of branded people. They are training civil services.
Yes, we understand, Mr. Jha. I have to cut short you, but I
Yeah.
will only tell you this is a very small class of teachers which you are talking. We are talking in a national pan in India condition, and pan India conditions. The teachers are in a very bad shape. Everybody knows. You know, there used to be a very popular saying, "Guru Govind do khade kaake lagu pao." बलिहारी गुरु आपने गोविंदियो बताए. I think now it is changed. गुरु नेता दो खड़े काके लागू पाऊं, बलिहारी नेता आपके गोविंदियो बताए. Now my last round, I will just
Excuse me,
I'm coming to you. That's just last round. My last round only 30 seconds to you, Dr. Catherine. Please unmute yourself. Any suggestion to the government, Dr. Catherine?
If the government can provide some incentive to teachers or some salvage plan for teachers, instead of asking the parents not to pay the fees, the government can at least support I know that the parents are in a situation, but some option should be made so that the management will be able to sustain and run in the long run.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Catherine, and hope next time when you join, please have your net proper. How the students will suffer because of the net problems. Dr. Marur, your suggestion to the government. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Increasing the speed of vaccination and keeping a huge amount of money set aside for education, where I compared previously India versus China, and IT infrastructure, wherein no student get deprived, is the only way to win battle against COVID pandemic.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Priyanka Sharma. Please unmute. Your suggestion to government.
My suggestion to government is please look into the availability of internet. We should really now give an infrastructure for the students, whether they are at the remote area or wherever. Some internet rebate must be given to all the students, because we cannot now.
Okay, thank you. Your point is made. Mr. Jha, 20 seconds rather to you.
My suggestion is very simple, that be honest. The government should be honest to every head and every count, and focus to the intellectual communities, the youth community, so the India would be developed.
Okay, thank you very much. So today you have seen how the COVID returns impact on education. We have different panelists from the higher education, school education, as well as from the private institutes, and they all have given that no incentives, no attention, proper attention is for the education. And if this will be the condition, what is going to happen to the students and the petty conditions of the teachers? One has to understand, after all, they all have made us what we are today because of the teachers, because of the educationists. If they are in petty condition, what we are going to do, in which direction our society is heading? Elections can wait, religious ceremonies can wait, but education should not wait. After all, they are our saviors as a vaccine or vaccine researchers or a medical fraternity, or for every field. Thank you very much for joining us. Today's program, which has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, as well as was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day a new topic. And tomorrow, media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. The topic is role of youth in lockdown. And our chief guest is Dr. Kurian. He's principal, Alwas College, Moorbidri, along with 6 youth guests, who we will be talking and discussing the role of youth in lockdown. Please join in tomorrow. Thank you very much, Dr. Catherine. Thank you very much, Dr. Janeshwar Pai Marur. Thank you very much, Ms. Priyanka Sharma. And thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh Kumar Jha, for joining us and enlightening us. And thank you all the viewers for watching our show. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting, sir. Thank